Welcome back to Ruthless Metal. Today we're going to do a top list of the 10 best thrash metal albums of 1987. And 1987 was a great year for thrash. There was a ton of good albums being released this year, and it was also the start of what was referred to as the second wave of thrash. In the first wave we had Metallica, Anthrax, Slayer and those types of bands. And in around 1987 and 1988, a lot of new bands arrived on the scene and released their first full-length albums. And I'm thinking of bands like Death Angel, Heathen and Testament, to name a few. And in order to rank these albums, we first need to establish some rules, and we're only going to include full-length thrash metal albums from 1987. So if you're a fan of this genre, then make sure to hit that like button and subscribe so you won't miss out on the next thrash metal video here on the channel. And now it's time for the top 10 thrash metal albums of 1987. In 10th place we have Death Angel's debut album The Ultraviolence, and this album is very fast and thrashing compared to the other efforts by this band. I personally hold this record as their best by far. It's filled with great thrashers like Voracious Souls, Kill As One and Thrashers. In 9th place we have the winners of my 1986 list, and it's of course Kreator with Terrible Certainty. And this album is underrated in my opinion. It's a little cleaner and more technical than Pleasure to Kill. So this album is more traditional thrash than that record. And now it's time to spin Toxic Trace by Kreator. In 8th place we have Canadian thrashers Sacrifice and the album Forward to Termination. And this album has a ton of great riffs on it. It's just an overall great record. Very powerful and straightforward. Kind of like Slayer but also a bit different. So here is Reanimation by Sacrifice. In 7th place we have Tankard and their second studio album Chemical Invasion. And it was on this record that they went all in with the alcohol theme, which I think is a bit ridiculous, but god damn it, they were crushing it on this record. It might just be their best album. So here is Total Addiction by Tankard. In 6th place we have another German band, and it's Sodom with Persecution Mania. And this was the first time that they ended up on the top 10 list for me. In the Sign of Evil was great, but it was an EP, so it was disqualified. And Obsessed by Cruelty was pretty good, but I think they stepped things up with Persecution Mania. And this is one of their best records, if not the best. So let's listen to Nuclear Winter by Sodom. In 5th place we have a rather obscure thrash metal album, and it's Infernäl Mäjesty and their 1987 debut album None Shall Defy. And these guys were from Canada, and there were some Slayer worship on this record, and perhaps a bit of Celtic Frost worship as well. Very evil sounding stuff with rather interesting chord progressions, I might add. So here is None Shall Defy by Infernäl Mäjesty. In 4th place we have probably the best selling thrash metal album of 1987, because it's Anthrax's 3rd album called Among the Living. And this album is like a greatest hits record, without being an actual greatest hits record. The album has hits like Indians, Caught in a Marsh, Among the Living and I Am the Law amongst others. So we're talking about one of the genre-defining classics here. So let's spin the song Among the Living by Anthrax. In third place we have Swiss thrashers Coroner and their debut album Rest in Peace, or simply R.I.P. And this album is very special. The technicality of guitarist Tommy T. Barron is remarkable. And this album also features one of the best thrash instrumentals of all time called Nosferatu. So let's listen to Tech Thrashers Coroner and the song Reborn Through Hate. In second place we have another debut album, and it's Bay Area thrashers Testament with the album The Legacy. And this album is one of the greatest debut albums in thrash. So let's spin Burnt Offerings from the Legacy album. The best thrash metal album of 1987 is in my opinion the sophomore album from Agent Steel. And it's called Unstoppable Force, and these guys were really unstoppable. They wrote fast riffs with some melodic sensibility, and add to that the amazing high-pitched vocals by John Cyriis. And the alien or sci-fi theme is also very cool on this record. So let's listen to the greatest thrash metal album of 1987, which is Unstoppable Force by Agent Steel. And here we have my full top 10 list, with a great mix of German, Canadian and American thrash. But as always, you guys have also voted for your favorite thrash metal albums of 1987. So here are your top choices. And you guys hold Sodom's Persecution Mania as the number one thrash metal record of 1987. It's a very solid choice and it ended up in 6th place for me. And you guys also chose Sepultura's Schizophrenia, and it just missed the top 10 for me. I had it as my number 11, so it's a great record. And a little more professional sounding compared to their Morbid Visions album. You guys also chose sci-fi thrashers Voivod and their album Killing Technology. Another great record that I really wanted to put on my list as well. But it just got too crowded, so it's number 12 for me. And Overkill's Taking Over is number 8 for you guys. And this one I really wanted to put on my list as well, since I think it's one of Overkill's best records. I had it at number 14 on my list, because 1987 was just a crazy year with a ton of great records being released. Or what about number 9, which is Destruction's release from Agony, which was number 17 for me. Which feels a bit low, but I really love this record as well. And last but not least, you guys chose Exodus and their album Pleasures of the Flesh, which was their first record with Zetro handling the microphone. And I think it's the best album with Zetro, but not quite as intense as their 1985 debut album Bonded by Blood. Still, there is some great songwriting on this record, and I had it as my number 15. And we also had an amazing strong list of honorable mentions this year, like Heathen's debut album Breaking the Silence, which ended up in 13th place, and as you guys can see, this list is almost endless. It was certainly an amazing year for us thrashers, and I think it was a bigger depth this year than in 1986 for example. And if you agree, why not smash that like button and subscribe to the channel if you're new. And tap that bell icon as well, so you get notified the next time I upload a video. And if you want to vote on the best thrash metal albums of 1988, or just chat and hang out with the rest of the metal maniacs in my community, then make sure to join my Discord server. And if you want to support my work, you should check out my Patreon page, which is linked down below. And here is my list of Patreons, so thank you guys for choosing to support my channel. And I also want to thank Lasse for counting all these votes. And thanks to you as well for watching this video. And that's all folks, stay heavy, and I hope I'll catch you guys in the next video. Bye bye.